It happened in less than 6 seconds, just long enough for the entire world inside room 214 to stop breathing. One moment, the chemistry lab buzzed with laughter, the kind that filled the air right before the bell rang. The next, a boy named Ethan Cole had his hand clamped around Miss Alana Brooks's throat, slamming her so hard against the counter that the glassware rattled like thunder. The hiss of open gas valves filled the air, sharp and dangerous. But the most terrifying thing in that room wasn't the sound of chaos, it was Miss Brooks's eyes. They didn't show fear. They didn't plead for help. They locked on Ethan, steady, cold, unshaken, like someone who'd stared down real danger before. The kind that didn't just bruise skin, it broke men. What happened next would ruin reputations, shake an entire school, and reveal that Miss Brooks, the quiet, composed teacher everyone thought they knew, had a past that could silence even the most arrogant voice in that room. If you're watching this, I want you to imagine yourself there for just a second. What would you have done if you saw it happen? And before we go further, tell us in the comments where you're watching from right now. We love hearing from you. And if you believe that respect should never depend on money or power, hit that like button. It helps share stories like this one that remind people what real strength looks like. The morning had started like any other at Ridgeway High School. The hallways were alive with chatter, sneakers squeaking, lockers slamming. For most students, it was just another day of equations, gossip, and counting down to Friday. But for the new chemistry teacher, Miss Alana Brooks, it was just another test of patience. She wasn't young enough to be naive, and not old enough to be jaded. Mid-30s, calm, confident, always in control. Her posture perfect, her tone measured, her sleeves always long even in summer. Some said it was to hide scars. Others whispered that she'd been divorced. A few claimed she'd worked for the government before coming here. Whatever the rumor, one thing was true. She was different. Her eyes could silence a room faster than the principal's microphone. And that silence, it drove one student crazy. Ethan Cole. Every school has one, the kind of student who mistakes privilege for power. The son of a construction mogul who practically owned half the town, Ethan walked through school like it was his personal kingdom. His grin, arrogant. His words, cruel. His confidence, unshakable until he met her. At first, it was small things, mocking her voice, interrupting her lessons, whispering jokes under his breath. Most teachers would have ignored him or sent him to detention. But Miss Brooks didn't take the bait. She just looked at him. And that look, it unsettled him. He didn't understand it, but deep down, something about her made him nervous. Maybe it was the calm. Maybe it was the way she didn't flinch. Whatever it was, Ethan didn't like feeling powerless, and when boys like him lose control, they get dangerous. That Thursday morning, the chemistry lab was filled with the sharp scent of ethanol and burnt copper. Students were testing combustion reactions, the soft roar of Bunsen burners filling the air. At the back, Ethan leaned against his workstation, smirking at his two friends as they snickered under their breath. Then, loud enough for everyone to hear, he said, "Hey, Miss Brooks, you sure you're a teacher? Or are you just pretending till your rent's due?" A ripple of uneasy laughter filled the room. Everyone knew Ethan's game: provoke, humiliate, dominate. But Miss Brooks didn't even turn around. "Focus on your flame, Ethan," she said evenly. "You're overheating your mixture." It wasn't just a correction, it was a dismissal. And it burned worse than any insult. Ethan's grin faltered. "Don't tell me what to do," he snapped, his voice cutting through the room. "You forget who you're talking to. My dad basically pays your salary. Have you ever met someone who truly believes money makes them untouchable? Someone who mistakes fear for respect? If you've ever watched a person like that finally get humbled, stay with me, because that's exactly what's about to happen." Miss Brooks turned then, slowly, her expression unreadable. "Sit down," she said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried through the room with the finality of a gavel. Ethan smirked. Or what? The tension was suffocating. His friends shifted nervously. Even the gas flames seemed to his quieter. "Or," she said softly, "you'll regret finding out." The class went still. No one breathed. And that's when it happened. Ethan's pride snapped like glass. With one wild motion, he lunged forward, grabbed her by the throat, and slammed her against the counter. The room erupted in gasps. Desks clattered. A student screamed. Someone's phone hit the floor. But Miss Brooks didn't panic. Her eyes locked on his steady, calm, focused. Then, in one breath, everything changed. Her left hand shot up, clamping around his wrist with impossible precision. Her right hand slammed into his elbow, bending it backward with a sharp crack. Ethan's face twisted in shock as pain shot through his arm. Before he could react, she spun behind him, yanked his arm up, and forced him face down against the counter. The entire room went dead silent. It wasn't messy. It wasn't emotional. It was surgical, efficient, controlled. The way she moved, it wasn't something you learned from self-defense classes. This was training. Years of it. Apologize, she said, her voice low but clear. Ethan tried to wriggle free, but the pressure on his shoulder made him gasp. You're hurting me, he yelled, panic replacing arrogance. Apologize, she repeated, not raising her voice. His breathing quickened. The boy who'd bullied dozens now trembled like a child. I'm sorry, he stammered, the words breaking. I'm sorry. Only then did she release him. He stumbled back, holding his arm, eyes wide with humiliation and fear. No one laughed. No one even whispered. Miss Brooks adjusted her sleeves with quiet composure, her breathing steady. Class dismissed, she said simply. For a long moment, no one moved. Then chairs scraped softly, bags rustled, and one by one, the students filed out, each throwing one last glance at the woman who had just dismantled the school's most feared bully in under 10 seconds. By lunchtime, the story had already spread through every hallway, every group chat, every whispered conversation. The new teacher wasn't just strict. She was something else, someone dangerous, someone powerful. Ethan didn't come to school the next day. By the following week, rumors had evolved into theories. She was in the military. She used to be a cop. No, she was a bodyguard, someone's private security. But no one really knew, and Miss Brooks never said a word. What people did notice was that from that day on, the entire school changed. Students stopped mocking. Teachers stopped tiptoeing. Even the bullies walked a little quieter. And maybe that was her real lesson, because sometimes the world only understands strength when it sees it in action. Sometimes respect doesn't come from words, it comes from standing your ground when no one else will. That night, as the sun set over Ridgeway, Miss Brooks sat alone in her empty classroom, the last rays of light brushing against her face. Her expression was calm, but her eyes, they held 1,000 stories untold. If only they knew who she really was. If this story moved you, give it a like, share it, and subscribe to Yomel Tales, because somewhere out there, another Miss Brooks is fighting a battle no one sees. And when she finally stands up, the world will remember her name.